The hum of the server room was a constant companion, a lullaby in the sterile, climate-controlled environment. Alaric, a 44-year-old IT specialist, found solace in its predictability, a stark contrast to the chaos that had recently erupted in my life. I lived in Denver, Colorado, a city I loved for its vibrant energy and breathtaking mountain views, a backdrop that now felt mocking in its indifference to my pain. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. Genevieve, my wife of 15 years, a vibrant and successful lawyer, began to change. The easy laughter that once filled our home seemed to fade, replaced by a strained politeness. Her late nights at the office became more frequent, her explanations vague and unsatisfying. I dismissed it at first, attributing it to the pressures of her demanding career. I told myself that I was being paranoid, that my insecurities were getting the better of me. After all, Genevieve was the epitome of grace and intelligence. Why would she stray? Our anniversary passed with a perfunctory dinner at a restaurant we both loved. The conversation felt forced, the connection strained. As we sat across from each other, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was talking to a stranger, someone I no longer recognized. That night, as she slept beside me, I reached for her hand, but she flinched, pulling away as if burned. The rejection was a physical blow, a confirmation of my deepest fears. The following weeks were a blur of anxiety and suspicion. I found myself obsessively checking her phone, a violation of her privacy that I knew was wrong, but I couldn't help myself. I needed to know the truth, no matter how painful it might be. But her phone was a fortress, locked down with passwords I couldn't crack. I tried to talk to her to express my concerns, but she brushed me off, accusing me of being controlling and insecure. Her words stung, but I told myself it was better than the alternative, better than admitting that something was terribly wrong. One evening, while Genevieve was supposedly at a conference in Chicago, I decided to surprise her by cleaning out her closet. It was a small gesture, a way of showing her that I cared, that I was still trying. As I sorted through her clothes, I found a small, velvet box tucked away in the back. My heart pounded in my chest as I opened it. Inside, nestled on a bed of satin, was a diamond necklace, far more extravagant than anything I had ever given her. The receipt was still in the box. It was from a high-end jewelry store downtown, and the date was just a week earlier. My mind raced, trying to find a logical explanation, but there was none. Genevieve had lied about the conference. She had been here, buying expensive jewelry that she hadn't told me about. The realization hit me like a physical blow, stealing my breath and leaving me reeling. The trust that had formed the foundation of our marriage crumbled into dust. I sank to the floor, the necklace clutched in my hand, tears streaming down my face. The pain was unbearable, a raw, gaping wound in my soul. I had been so blind, so naive. How could I have missed the signs? How could I have been so foolish to believe that our love was enough, driven by a desperate need for answers? I decided to track down the jewelry store. The next morning, I walked into the elegant showroom, my hands trembling as I showed the receipt to the sales associate. She recognized the necklace immediately. "Ah, yes," she said with a knowing smile. Mr. Caldwell was very pleased with his purchase. Caldwell. The name echoed in my mind, a discordant note in the symphony of my life. I didn't know anyone named Caldwell. "Could you describe him?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The sales associate gave me a detailed description: tall, handsome, impeccably dressed. He sounded nothing like me. As I left the store, my phone rang. It was Genevieve. "How was the conference?" I asked, my voice betraying none of the turmoil raging inside me. "It was fine," she said, her tone flat. "Long and boring, but productive." "I missed you," I said, the words feeling like a lie even as I spoke them. "I missed you too," she replied, but her voice lacked conviction. I hung up the phone, my hand shaking. I knew then that I couldn't live with the uncertainty any longer. I needed to confront her, to demand the truth, no matter how painful it might be. When Genevieve returned home that evening, I was waiting for her, the necklace displayed on the coffee table. She walked in, her face tired, and stopped dead in her tracks when she saw it. "What's this?" she asked, her voice tight. "I think you know," I said, my voice cold and hard. "I found it in your closet. The receipt says it was purchased by a Mr. Caldwell. Care to explain? She paled, her eyes darting around the room as if searching for an escape. I can explain, she stammered, but her voice lacked conviction. Then explain, I said, my patience wearing thin. She hesitated, her lips trembling. It's complicated, she finally said. Complicated, I repeated, my voice rising. You're having an affair, Genevieve. That's not complicated, it's a betrayal. Tears welled up in her eyes. It just happened, she said, her voice barely audible. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Who is he? I demanded. Who is this Caldwell? She hesitated again, her face contorted with guilt. He's a colleague, she finally admitted. We've been working closely together on a big case. So you're sleeping with a colleague, I said, my voice laced with disgust. And you lied to me about it. You lied to me about everything. She started to cry, her body racked with sobs. I'm so sorry, Alaric, she said. I never wanted to hurt you, but you did hurt me, I said, my voice breaking. You shattered my heart. I don't know if I can ever forgive you. I turned and walked away, leaving her standing there, alone and weeping. I spent the night in the guest room, the weight of her betrayal crushing me. I couldn't sleep, my mind racing with questions and doubts. The next morning, I woke up with a sense of grim determination. I couldn't stay in this marriage, not after what she had done. The trust was gone, the love tarnished. I knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but I couldn't live a lie any longer. I filed for divorce that same day. Genevieve was devastated, begging me to reconsider, promising to end the affair, but I was resolute. The damage was done, and there was no going back. The divorce was messy and acrimonious. Genevieve fought me every step of the way, trying to take as much as she could. She accused me of being unreasonable, of overreacting, but I stood my ground. I wasn't going to let her get away with what she had done. As the divorce proceedings dragged on, I learned more about Genevieve's affair with Caldwell. His name was Sterling Caldwell, and he was a partner at her law firm, a man known for his ruthless ambition and his string of affairs. He had a reputation for preying on vulnerable women, and Genevieve had fallen right into his trap. I discovered that Sterling had been showering Genevieve with gifts and attention, manipulating her with his charm and flattery. He had convinced her that she deserved better than me, that I was holding her back from achieving her full potential. He had played on her insecurities and her desires, and she had succumbed to his advances. The more I learned about Sterling, the more furious I became. He was a predator, a parasite, and he had destroyed my marriage. I wanted to make him pay for what he had done, but I knew that revenge wouldn't bring me any satisfaction. The only thing that mattered was moving on with my life. As the divorce neared its conclusion, I received an unexpected visit from Sterling's wife, Bront. She was a petite woman with fiery red hair and a fierce determination in her eyes. She had heard about the affair, and she wanted to know the truth. I told her everything, laying bare the details of Genevieve's betrayal and Sterling's manipulation. Bront was devastated, but she was also grateful for the information. She had suspected something was going on, but she hadn't been able to prove it. Together, Bront and I devised a plan to expose Sterling and Genevieve's affair to the partners at their law firm. We gathered evidence, compiled a detailed timeline of their relationship, and presented it to the firm's managing partner. The fallout was swift and brutal. Sterling was fired immediately, his reputation in tatters. Genevieve was suspended, and her career was effectively ruined. Seeing them both face the consequences of their actions brought me a measure of satisfaction, but it didn't erase the pain. The scars of betrayal would always be there, a reminder of the love I had lost and the trust that had been broken. In the aftermath of the divorce, I threw myself into my work, finding solace in the familiar routines of my job. I reconnected with old friends, pursued new hobbies, and slowly began to rebuild my life. It wasn't easy, but I was determined to move forward to find happiness again. One day, a few months after the divorce was finalized, I received a message from Genevieve. She was living in a small apartment, working as a legal assistant and struggling to make ends meet. She had lost everything, her career, her reputation, and her friends. She was alone and miserable. She asked if we could meet just to talk. I hesitated, but curiosity got the better of me. We met at a coffee shop, and I was shocked by her appearance. She looked gaunt and her eyes hollow and lifeless. She apologized for everything she had done, admitting that she had made a terrible mistake. She said that she had been blinded by Sterling's charm and ambition, that she had lost sight of what was truly important. I listened in silence, my heart aching for the woman I had once loved. I couldn't forgive her, not completely, but I could understand her. I knew that she had paid a heavy price for her betrayal, and I couldn't help but feel a flicker of sympathy. As we parted ways, I wished her well, hoping that she would find a way to rebuild her life. I knew that I would never forget her, but I also knew that I couldn't let her define my future. I had to move on, to embrace the opportunities that lay ahead. Years passed. I eventually met someone new, a kind and compassionate woman named Astrid who loved me for who I was. We built a life together, filled with laughter, trust, and unwavering support. I learned to love again, to open my heart without fear. One day I received a letter from Genevieve. She was living in another state, working as a paralegal and volunteering at a local charity. She had found peace and contentment, she said, and she was grateful for the lessons she had learned. She thanked me for being a good man, for giving her the best years of her life. Her letter was a testament to her growth and resilience, a reminder that even after the darkest of times, it is possible to find redemption. I read the letter with a sense of closure, knowing that we had both found our own paths to happiness. The pain of betrayal had faded, replaced by a quiet understanding and a sense of gratitude for the lessons I had learned. I had survived the storm, and I had emerged stronger and wiser on the other side. The mountains around Denver no longer seemed to mock me, but to stand as silent witnesses to my resilience. My life was my own again, and I was determined to live it to the fullest.